Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show built to really cut through all that information noise out there.
That's right. We aim to deliver the most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights, directly to you.
And today, we're helping you connect the dots across a really diverse range of sources. I mean, we've got everything from personal trauma.
Safety concerns, yeah, right up to national economic policy.
Exactly, and even some really poignant community appeals. It's quite a journey into what's happening and why it matters to you. Okay, let's unpack this. So we're starting with a story that just embodies that sudden, life-altering shift. Imagine waking up one day and finding out you're a multimillionaire.
Right.
Well, that's exactly what happened to Daniel Chow of British Columbia, Canada. Just this past Thursday, June 19th, 2025.
Wow.
Daniel claimed a, staggering $40 million Lotto Max jackpot.
40 million.
And the way he got the ticket, it's almost like something from a movie. He bought it May 23rd, totally unplanned. He was just out for a run in Central Park, Burnaby. He actually told reporters he felt, and I quote, compelled by some force to just pick it up.
Yeah, and what's truly, intriguing about Daniel's story is how close he came to missing it all.
I know.
That ticket, it just sat in his bag for 3 whole weeks.
3 weeks.
He only found it when he was rummaging around looking for, get this, cough drops for a sore throat.
You can't make this stuff up.
No. It certainly highlights this unique blend of impulse buying and maybe a bit of forgetfulness. Apparently he buys lots of tickets, but, rarely checks them.
So he finally scans that second ticket he had.
Yeah.
And he literally dropped his phone. Said he'd never seen so many zeros.
I can imagine.
You could almost picture the scene, right?
Yeah.
And it took his partner a full hour to believe him.
An hour?
Yeah, even after you showed them a screenshot from the BC Lottery Corporation app. That's some serious disbelief.
Absolutely. And what's particularly insightful about Daniel Chow's reaction, even right away, is his focus. He's not just thinking about, sports cars and mansions immediately. His first plans. Hire a financial planner.
Smart.
Very smart. Secure homes for himself, his partner, and his parents. And he also expressed this profound desire to give back.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, to change other people's lives, he said. That's actually a common thing among lottery winners who manage the wealth well. They tend to ground it in long-term strategy and giving back.
Right.
It often leads to greater satisfaction, He did mention wanting to travel too. He described the win as a roller coaster, which fits because apparently he loves roller coasters.
Ah, perfect.
And it's worth noting this is actually the second huge lottery win in BC this month.
Really?
Yeah, Justin Semporius of Surrey claimed $80 million on May 9th. That was the largest Canadian jackpot ever.
Wow, BC is definitely on a lucky streak then.
Seems like it.
Okay, so from those incredible highs of, individual good fortune, our sources quickly pivot. We're looking at some pretty pressing challenges impacting public safety right there in BC as well.
Right.
Speaking of Surrey, like you just mentioned, there was a concerning incident early Thursday morning, about 3:00 a.m. A shooting at a business over at 116 Avenue and 128th Street.
Okay.
Vehicles and parts of the building were hit by gunfire. Fortunately, no injuries were reported, even though staff were actually inside at the time.
That's lucky, but still very unsettling.
Definitely. And what makes this particularly troubling is that it happened less than 24 hours after police were already investigating something else.
At the same place.
At the exact same location,
Yeah.
In that earlier case, suspects tried to damage vehicles with gasoline.
Wow.
But they were thwarted by security, thankfully. So police are actively investigating potential links to other incidents now. They haven't explicitly connected it yet to those ongoing citywide extortion threats we've heard about, but they're looking into it.
Right. It really highlights the persistent nature of some of these issues, and law enforcement is asking, anyone with information to call them. The number is 604-990-502.
Okay, good to know. It's just a reminder of how quickly things can escalate. And speaking of individual actions impacting community safety, there's another incident. This one's from Port Moody on June 5th. Around 5:45 p.m., a woman tried to steal meat products from a grocery store.
Right.
When a security guard intervened, she actually assaulted the guard before fleeing.
Oh, dear. Was the guard okay?
Yeah. Thankfully not seriously injured, according to the report.
Yeah.
But police are looking for the public's help to identify her.
Do they have a description?
They do.
Mm-hmm.
Caucasian female, approximately 20 years old, brown hair, and distinctive tattoos on her arms and back.
Okay.
If you have any info, the number for that is 604-613-456.
These local incidents, they might seem small in the grand scheme, but they really underscore a vital point.
That's it.
Community awareness and, people actually reporting what they see. It's absolutely crucial in helping law enforcement piece these things together. It's really a partnership.
That makes sense, a community effort. So to really get a handle on public safety, you have to look beyond just single incidents, right? You need the broader data.
Exactly. The statistics give you context.
And Vancouver's latest crime report for Q1 2025, well, it offers some pretty surprising insights.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Overall, crime is down roughly 1%.
Yeah.
But more significantly, violent crime down 11.22%.
11%. That's quite a drop.
It is. 1,192 cases in Q1 this year versus 1,342 last year. And here's the really remarkable part. This is the lowest violent crime rate recorded since Prime. That's the Police Records Information Management Environment.
Right, the standardized system.
Exactly, since that was implemented back in 2002. So we're talking a two-decade low comparing apples to apples.
Wow, historic lows then.
Historic lows in assaults and robberies specifically. But here's the paradox, the interesting twist.
Okay.
While most patrol districts in Vancouver saw these decreases, District 4 did not.
Yeah.
That includes areas like Point Grey, Kitsilano, Fairview, Dunbar, Southlands.
Affluent areas mostly.
Right. So what do we make of this? Especially when you hear residents and business owners reporting an increase in violent incidents recently. Things like random stranger attacks.
Ah, yeah, that's precisely the core tension the report highlights, isn't it? That challenge of reconciling official stats with, lived experience.
So how do you explain that difference?
Well, looking at the breakdown helps. Robberies, like you said, down 23% overall. And get this, a 39.5% decrease, specifically in the downtown east side.
Huge drop there.
Huge. Assaults down 12.66%. However, we do see increases elsewhere. Sexual offenses are up 7%.
Okay.
And reports of historic sexual offenses, those are up 6.5%. Property crime is down 4%. But interestingly, Mental Health Act incidents are up 7%.
Oh, okay.
And overall calls for service are up 2.4%. So the key insight here, I think, is that while official crime data gives crucial metrics for police...
Right, for planning and resources.
Exactly. It informs their strategic planning, policy adjustments, but it often doesn't fully capture that qualitative feeling of public safety.
The perception versus the numbers.
Precisely. It just emphasizes this ongoing challenge of aligning policy with, how safe people actually feel on the street.
Okay, so from the complexities of local safety data, let's shift focus again. Let's look at national economic policy. Specifically, Canada's stance on steel and aluminum.
Right. A big topic lately.
Yeah, the Canadian metal industry has been, struggling, mainly due to increased U.S. tariffs. On June 4th, President Trump raised the existing metal tariffs from 25% all the way up to 50%.
Doubled them.
Doubled them. Justified it by claiming unfair trade practices, global excess capacity, things he argues disadvantage American workers.
And the ripple effects of those tariffs, they've been pretty immediate and significant across Canada, haven't they?
Absolutely.
The CEO of the Canadian Steel Producers Association, he's reported layoffs already, decreased investment, stalled shipments, basically since day one of the new tariffs.
Yeah, it's hitting hard.
And
that's generated considerable political pressure. Ontario Premier Doug Ford, for instance, he openly called for Canada to retaliate by raising our own counter tariffs by another 25%.
Tit for tat, essentially.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, given that pressure and the very real impact on the industry, what has the Canadian government's strategic response actually been?
Well, Prime Minister Carney made an announcement on Thursday. He said Canada will adjust its counter tariffs on steel and aluminum starting July 21st.
Adjust. Did they say how much?
No, the new levels weren't specified. But he cited progress in trade negotiations as the reason. And that July 21st date is key. It marks the end of a 30-day trade deal deadline that came out of a G7 meeting between Carney and President Trump.
Ah, okay, so it's tied to negotiations.
Exactly. And beyond just tweaking tariffs, Canada announced some broader policy changes too, trying to bolster the domestic industry.
Like what?
Well, starting June 30th, federal procurement policies are going to prioritize Canadian suppliers and, quote, reliable trading partners.
Okay, buy Canadian, essentially.
Pretty much. Also, new retroactive tariff quota rates set at 100% of 2024 levels will be applied to steel imports coming from countries we don't have free trade agreements with.
So trying to limit imports from certain places.
Right. And they've signaled more tariff measures are coming in the next few weeks, specifically to counter unfair trade practices stemming from the U.S. actions.
Seems like a multi-pronged approach.
It is. Plus, they're creating 2 new task forces, one for steel, one for aluminum, just to monitor trade and help guide government decisions.
Okay.
But, as the industry minister cautioned, Canada needs to act carefully here. It's a really delicate balance, international trade talks versus protecting your own industries.
Right, a very tricky dance.
Eh.
Okay, so from that large-scale international stuff, let's bring it back down to individual consumer protection. There's a major fraud bust recently, closer to home in Toronto.
Ah, yes, the taxi scam.
Exactly. Toronto police just busted this large-scale operation. They arrested 11 individuals after a pretty long investigation, 10 months. It was dubbed Project Fair, started back in July 2024.
And the scale of it was quite something.
It really was. Over $500,000 defrauded from hundreds of victims. They've identified over 300 so far, but police think there are probably many more out there.
And the way they did it was, well, pretty brazen, but also quite clever.
Yeah, describe that.
This criminal network, they actually disguised vehicles to look exactly like legitimate taxis.
Wow.
And they specifically targeted unsuspecting people. Tourists, maybe people leaving theaters or bars late at night, like in the King West area, places where people might be a bit less vigilant.
Okay, so what was the actual scam?
The tactic was simple but effective. The scammers would claim their machine couldn't accept cash, only card payments.
Okay, I've heard that before.
Right. Then, after you put in your PIN, they'd somehow, expertly, swap your real card with a very similar-looking fake one, a dummy card,
Ah, the switch.
while you're distracted.
Exactly. It really preys on that moment of trust, maybe slight disorientation late at night.
And the impact on the victims was, I imagine, immediate. Oh, absolutely. Those stolen cards, used right away to withdraw cash from ATMs, deposit fraudulent checks, buy expensive electronics, gift cards, luxury clothing, you name it.
They moved fast.
Very fast. Police have already filed 108 cases related to this, and the raids they conducted on May 21st at 3 locations turned up a lot.
Like what?
Credit and debit terminals, stacks of luxury clothes, expensive jewelry, computers, cell phones, and just numerous stolen or dummy cards.
So they got a lot of evidence. Are they still looking for people?
They are. Police are still actively searching for 2 individuals and also a woman who they believe might have more information.
Okay, so what's the takeaway for listeners? How do you protect yourself?
Well, first, the good news is that the banks have apparently reimbursed the identified victims, which is reassuring.
That's good.
But the crucial police advice for you, the listener, is this. First, no legitimate taxi driver in Toronto can refuse cash payment. That's a big red flag right there.
Okay, remember that.
Second, always keep your card in sight during the entire transaction. Don't let it disappear. Right. And most importantly, never, ever give your PI to anyone or let them see you enter it if you can help it. This case really shows how these scams work psychologically, Gaining trust, exploiting vulnerabilities, vigilance is just key.
Absolutely. Okay, now for a piece of more positive news, something directly impacting many Canadians right now, aiming to ease some financial pressures.
Good. We need some positive news.
We do. Advanced Canada Workers Benefit Payments, the CWB, are actually being sent out today, Friday, June 20th, 2025.
Ah, the CWB.
Yeah, going out to low-income individuals and families. It's that refundable tax credit from the Canada Revenue Agency, really designed to help workers cope with, well, rising inflation.
Right. It has the basic amount and the disability supplement component.
Exactly. So who gets this? What's the impact?
Okay, so this is a direct government effort for targeted financial support. To be eligible, you need to be a Canadian resident, obviously, at least 19 years old.
Yeah.
Your income has to be below a certain threshold, which varies slightly. And for the disability supplement part, you need an approved T22001 form on file with the CRA.
And you have to have filed your taxes, right?
Crucially, yes. You must have filed your previous year's tax return. Now, to give you an idea of the amounts, a single Canadian with income up to about $24,975, they can receive up to $1,589 a year paid out in installments.
Okay.
And single individuals who get the maximum disability supplement, they can get up to $784 if their income is up to roughly $3,598.
And people don't need to apply separately for these advance payments.
No, that's the convenience. If you're eligible based on your tax return, they're automatically deposited. No separate application needed.
Makes it easy. When is the next one?
The next payment after today is scheduled for July 11th. So yeah, this program is a pretty clear example of the government using direct financial aid to try and alleviate some of that economic pressure, putting money right into the hands of people who need it most for rising costs.
Okay. Now, to conclude our deep dive today, we have a truly um, poignant and really urgent appeal. It highlights the power of a community coming together in a difficult time.
Okay.
6-year-old Lily Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack Sullivan have been missing now for over a month and a half.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, since May 2nd. They went missing from their home in Lansdowne Station, Pictou County, Nova Scotia.
A month and a half? That's
Yeah,
a long time for young children.
it is. And in a significant new development, the Nova Scotia government has just announced a $150,000 reward for information that leads to their discovery.
Wow, $150,000.
Yeah, they've added the case to the province's major unsolved crimes program. The parents have made, as you can imagine, a heartbreaking plea. Their entire focus is just finding Lily and Jack, and they desperately hope this reward encourages someone, anyone, to come forward.
Oh, absolutely. These cases, they really show the immense effort involved in investigations and just how critical the public's role can be.
What are the police saying?
Well, police have spent hundreds of hours searching the area. They've apparently narrowed it down now mostly to wilderness regions. Polygraph tests have been done, but the RCMP noted that, determining the truth in this case might take longer than expected. It just underlines the complexity.
Any leads at all?
They did obtain some video clips of the children with their family in a public place the day before they went missing, so they have that timeline anchor.
Okay, and descriptions are crucial here.
Absolutely. For anyone listening, especially in that area, every detail matters. Lily Sullivan, she's 6, about 4 feet tall, 60 pounds. Last seen wearing a pink Barbie hat, pink rubber boots with a rainbow print, and carrying a strawberry print backpack.
Okay, and her brother?
Jack Sullivan, he's 4, about 3 feet 6 inches tall, 40 pounds. He was wearing a diaper, black Under Armour jogging pants, and blue rubber boots with the dinosaur print.
Okay, hopefully those details help. Are other agencies involved?
Yes, the National Center for Missing Persons and the Canadian Center for Child Protection are both actively involved, helping coordinate efforts.
And if someone has information?
There are 2 main ways to provide it. For the reward program, the number is 1-888-710-9000. Just be aware, they will need your name and contact info, and calls are recorded. You might even be called to testify later.
Okay, and for anonymous tips?
For anonymous information, you can call Crime Stoppers of Nova Scotia at 1-800-222-8477. This situation, it just truly reinforces how vital the community's role is in supporting law enforcement in these terrible missing persons cases, helping bring children home.
Absolutely. Well, we've covered a tremendous amount in this deep dive today. I mean, from the incredible high of a lottery win.
Right, down to serious local crime incidents.
Complexities of national economic policy,
Right.
that concerning taxi scam, but also vital financial support.
And ending with that really heartbreaking community appeal for Lily and Jack Sullivan.
Yeah. Hopefully, you've gained some crucial insights into these diverse stories and maybe see how they're sometimes deeply interconnected.
And that interconnectedness, I think that's what really stands out, isn't it? How these seemingly disparate pieces and individual sudden luck, the global impact of tariffs, the actions of a security guard, a national benefit program, how they all ultimately reflect the ongoing challenges, but also the opportunities facing all our communities.
Mhm.
It kind of leaves us with a question for you to maybe ponder, how might your own awareness of these bigger currents, these stories we've discussed, how might that shape your own decisions and interactions right there in your own community?
Something to think about.
Definitely. Thank you for diving deep with us today.